Welcome to the Does This Happen to You podcast, where we explore the funny side of truth is stranger than fiction stories. Our story this week is from the book Stripped Down, a Naked Memoir by Stacy Keith. Check it out on Amazon.com. The thing about orgasms is when you find someone who can give you one, you tend to think you've discovered some profound truth about life. Perhaps in just those moments of exquisite pleasure you have. The wrong-headedness of women, well, me at least, is that we mistake sexual bliss for actual love. How can you love a man, love the human complexity of who he is, when all it really amounts to is erotic combustion? So it is with Zach. We're on our 5th or 6th date, and he's going down on me in the back of his beater truck, a metal-bumpered monster well past its prime. We had to stop every 20 miles on our way down to the beach just to fill the radiator. Bare-breasted, dizzy with delight, I gaze up at the coastal blue of the sky and think, he is the one. We talked the entire way down to the beach. He's good at talking. He can drive with one knee and roll a joint at the same time. I'm surprised by the joint. He's surprised I don't smoke. But if my mother was a cautionary tale against sleeping with married men, my father showed me how dabbling in recreational drugs is the road to perdition. The smell of dirt weed drifts across the front seat. Covertly, I watch Zach to see if he morphs into something out of reefer madness, but he doesn't. Outside my window, the pampas grows tall along the coast. The wind is torpid with heat. Somehow, in this broken-down truck with this muscle-bound man, I feel an odd sense of belonging. Zach isn't afraid of me. I met him at the gym when he came sauntering over to ask how my workout was going. Our first date, he took me to see an outdoor concert. Our second date, he stood me up, which infuriated me, and when I saw him at the gym the next day, I coolly ignored him. Yet he wouldn't go away. 2 hours later, he was still hanging around and wouldn't leave until I agreed to hear his apology. You wouldn't sleep with me, he confessed. It was our first date, I told him. I've never ever not slept with a girl on the first date. And he looked so genuinely troubled I had to laugh. Now, in a glorious communion with the sun and the sea and this hot, sweet odor of coconut oil, I let my back arch in ecstasy off the scratchy Mexican blanket Zach spread in the truck bed. I'm no longer thinking about whether I should move to California. I'm no longer thinking at all. To me, Zach seems as freewheeling and exotic as the cannabis cloud that envelops him. His worldly possessions are limited to a dented truck, an old black lab named Duchess, a toolbox full of rusty barbell clips, a dinged-up surfboard, and a gum pack of rolling papers. I don't recognize the "live it now" philosophy from countless surf mags. I think it's him. When I watch Zach on the surfboard, he seems so sure of himself, at one with the larger forces of nature. Later, as we make a campfire and watch the sunset, I'm relaxed enough to own the truth about what I do for a living. Previously, I told him I work as a secretary for a personnel agency. When he smiles, Zach's teeth are white in the gathering dusk. Do you think that was going to be some big newsflash? I kind of guessed already. No shit. I'm impressed by his perspicacity. It doesn't bother you? That my girlfriend is some super hot magazine model? Yeah, right, I hate that. Pleasure washes over me. He called me his girlfriend. He doesn't think I'm a skank for taking off my clothes. He's not freaked out or jealous. Happily, I hug my knees to my chest and gaze out as the last band of crimson disappears over the horizon. Seagulls mew overhead, ghostly now, white shapes darting. Tiny sandpipers scuttle over the glassy sheen of freshly washed sand. And then the glow of contentment deserts me. I've practically made up my mind to move to California. Of course, I would meet a kindred spirit now. Zach senses my sudden quiet. He holds my hand. His are roughed and calloused from weightlifting and board wax and the occasional pressure washing gig he takes to keep body and soul together. It occurs to me that Zach's a bit of a slacker, but like the sandpiper's feet, the thought doesn't leave much of an impression. Zach is different, like I am. A misfit, like I am. But he's also handsome and street smart, and he makes me laugh. At 20, you don't see the big picture. You don't think, is this someone I respect? I'm drawn to him in ways I don't yet understand. I'm thinking about moving to California, I say slowly. I've got an agent out there. Opportunities. A big grin spreads over Zach's face. God damn. What's so funny? For 10 years, I've been trying to get out to California. The surf, the weather, shit, who wouldn't want to go? When I realize what he's proposing, my heart beats faster. He kisses me full on with boy's exuberance. Would you consider going to Cali with a surf bum like me? Few moments in life offer more comedic potential than a stripper, a surfer, a U-Haul truck, the surfer's younger surfer brother, and 2 dogs, one half dead and the other a chihuahua with a tiny body and oversized head. Zach buys me the puppy on a whim. It's adorable, but as it wags up at me, butter with eyes, I realize with a feeling akin to panic that I'm staring down the barrel of a 15-year commitment. If a chia pet is too much trouble, what will I do with a dog? It has a loose tooth that sticks out like a grain of rice. It has a plump belly in cowhide, as though it got confused about what genus it belongs to. The breath on it is pure, meaty puppy breath. I buy her a sweater. I call her Moon Pie. Driving to California is real work. I know because I'm the one doing it. Watching Houston disappear in my rearview mirror makes me sick to my stomach, but the 2-man circus of Zach and his brother, Taylor, gives me little time for reflection. Taylor's got his flip-flopped feet up on the dash, a battered guitar against his chest, and he's belting out Deep Purple's "Smoke on the Water." I've heard it 50 times already because it's the only song he knows, but he's so earnest about singing the thing, I don't dare tell him to shut up. Every few minutes, with a rapturous smile, Taylor says, "Fucking A, man. Me and the guys are putting the band back together." Slouched against the far window, Zach grins at me, rolling his eyes while he rolls a joint. At least we agree that his brother is a doofus. Not that Taylor isn't a nice kid, but geez, he's dumb. Zach promises me Taylor won't be staying with us. He's got friends down in Carlsbad, I'm told, fellow band members. Zach gives me a crash course in surfing as the Texas topography changes mile after mile, from crippled mesquite trees to the Guadalupe Mountains, curved like a woman's hips. I listen with unfeigned fascination. He tells me that swell-driven waves, the kind you get on the West Coast, are the holy grail of surfers. In the Gulf, waves are wind-driven and choppy, like the spin cycle on a washing machine. The Pacific is cold, which means a full-length wetsuit. Taylor cheerfully informs me that he pees in his, and I am stricken by the thought that maybe he doesn't always wait to get in the water to do that. Surfers love to rehash the past. Perfect days of perfect waves, and no heat from the locals. Surfers are belligerent and territorial, which blows my mind. If there's one thing on planet Earth that's as inevitable as death and taxes, it's a wave. Who the hell is boneheaded enough to fight over that? but apparently whole packs of surf rats will bob around on their respective planks of fiberglass, bristling at you if you aren't a local. Then they'll take off really fast, crest a wave, and slice you to ribbons. Zach and Taylor are longboarders. The distinction is lost on me, but it apparently confers the virtue of being a soul surfer. Soul surfers aren't the money-grubbing, wave-hogging, contest-hungry hot doggers with professional sponsorships. They're the Zen masters of perfect A-frames, spiritualists who majestically carve the water instead of splitting it apart, doing wild-eyed aerials and crazy cutbacks. I sip my coffee, wrinkling my nose at Zach's smelly old dog, Duchess, who has almost melted onto the floorboards. Moon Pie is mercilessly pulling on her tail. We stop to refuel at an interstate gas station. Taylor asks the doughy teenager behind the counter if they have any guitar picks. Hour 18 and we're in the eeriest part of New Mexico. I'm twitchy from too much coffee and too many Reese's peanut butter cups. On both sides of I-10, pale in the moonlight, sand stretches for miles until it abruptly ends, barricaded by the impenetrable black wall of the mesa. Here and there, the shapes of pipe organ cactus block out the sky. The air is thin, cold, and smells of minerals. The sky is a huge glittering star field that looks as though it could hide 1,000 UFOs. Taylor's asleep on the passenger window, mouth open, cheeks squished up against the glass. Zach looks as though he's praying. His eyes are closed, chin bouncing off his chest. For the first time, the enormity of what I'm doing hits me. I'm moving to L.A. with a man I barely know. My life is stuffed inside a U-Haul. I have no idea where we're going to live or if we can afford it when we get there. Now that my ass is on the line, I'm scared. What if I can't get work? What if Zach can't or won't get work? All I know about the guy is he's a handsome, half-Italian surf hottie who, at 36, maintains a steady diet of marginal employment, unparalleled pussy-eating, and a dime bag of hydro. But what have I really signed on for? I already miss Houston. Betts is right. The whole thing is a mistake. I don't know why I'm doing it. Maybe it's the coffee and the chocolate, but my hands start trembling. I clamp them tighter on the wheel. I remember the sorrowful way my mother shook her head when I told her I was going. Her baleful assessment of Zach. He's a goddamn waterbed salesman. By migrating west, whose dreams am I following? There will be a whole hierarchy of people I will have to suck up to, and, like most geeks, I have no sense of hierarchy. With sudden clarity, I realize that I will carry most of the financial burden, and I'll carry it right between my tits. Thanks for listening. I'm Chris Kepler, and I hope you enjoyed listening to these stories as much as I enjoyed narrating them. I'd love for more people to hear these wonderful stories, so please share and tell your friends.